Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well, having a fantastic start to your day. I hope you guys have been having an awesome week out there so far. I hope you guys have a shorter week out ahead of you. I know I do, but I know not everybody has the luxury of having like Friday off for Christmas Eve, even though I know Friday isn't Christmas Eve, but I know that a lot of people have that day off for Christmas Eve. But I definitely hope you guys at least have next Monday off for Christmas Day. But regardless of your situation, hope you guys are doing well, having a great week, and certainly excited for Christmas. I know me and my household certainly are. Let's try to figure out what's going to happen weather-wise for your Tuesday today. We will have some snow that will linger around for the Northeast, and we do have moisture in the Pacific Northwest. I think that will taper off later today, and I think California will be the real focus point of the western U.S. as we move a little bit deeper into today, especially Northern California. But eventually, as we move into tomorrow and then the next couple days, California will be pretty active as far as a lot of rain and moisture. The Sierra Nevada will pick up some heavy snow as a system really moves close to the California coastline. Eventually, this system will move into the southwest and bring the potential for a Christmas Eve, Christmas Day storm system across areas of the country. There could be a separate other piece of energy that could affect the deep south. We got some things to figure out about that, but I do think there'll be a system somewhere in the country, most likely at least in the middle of the country, as we get into the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day time frame. We will speak a little bit on that for the second half of the video, kind of give you some updated information that we're seeing. Check out the video last night if you're interested on the pattern after Christmas. We are watching a post-Christmas pattern change, kind of the beginning stages of a pattern change. I think it's going to be a work in progress to get to where we want if you're a winter weather fan across areas of the country. But I speak in great detail on that. So if you're interested in that, check out yesterday evening's video. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. So let's talk about what's going on based off water vapor loop. I think it shows the story pretty well. If you notice, there is a ridge, and you might not be able to notice, but there is a ridge that's pretty large, that's anchored across most of the central and even western U.S. And then there's a sharp trough dig that goes like this all the way down into Florida, and it comes all the way back up. This is bringing a very quick but pretty cold shot of air across the eastern U.S. for a couple days. I think low temperatures will be quite chilly, well below average. I'm not talking about lows like for Atlanta or Columbia or Charlotte, like in the low teens or something like that, but you will have some low temperatures like in the 20s. And it'll be quite cold. Some areas that are away from the main cities could get into the teens, even as far south as the Carolinas. But just a quick shot of cold air is pretty much in place now, and this will continue to move. This is a moving pattern, and this ridge will eventually move over this area that is dealing with this trough and this really cold and dry air mass. And then we have a system right out here, and this is what's pumping moisture into these areas this morning, and will do so throughout the next several days. And eventually this system will move somewhere kind of into this region. We got to figure that out. So this is what's going on. This will be sort of an upper level low, cut off low, because this ridge will be in place. This will undercut the ridge, so you do not really have any kind of real connection for any really cold air to the north, because there's a ridge over Canada from all of that Pacific air getting blasted into Canada, which we spoke on in great detail in last night's video. So let's go on and look at the radar and what's actually going on right now. Let me get my words right. I really struggled starting this video this morning. I don't know why, but it's probably just because I had 3 days off and trying to get back into the swing of things. So if I twist up any words, I do apologize, or if it's messy. But let's make sure this isn't glitching. So we're still dealing with the snow this morning in areas of New York, Pennsylvania, and we're still dealing with some pesky rain here in eastern Mass, all the way into the coastal regions of Maine. I think a lot of this snow will taper off pretty quick later on this morning into early this afternoon. But check out all the moisture that's moving into California. I mean, even central California is seeing moisture already. Sierra Nevada seeing some snow. And then we do have some light to moderate rain in areas of Washington, Oregon, a little bit of moisture making its way into Idaho. And I mean, it really tells you just the air mass in place. It's just very warm. I mean, you're just getting rain up here in areas of Western Canada. So it just really tells you that, we really have just a warm air mass across, just in general, across North America, except this very quick area of cold air that's moving across the eastern U.S. right now. But eventually this will be replaced with above average temperatures here in the coming days. But as far as the Storm Prediction Center, there is a risk for some thunderstorms in San Francisco, Sacramento, to the north and south of those areas, maybe all the way down to Fresno, maybe all the way up to Redding. But nothing severe. Could just get some rumbles of thunder with some of these storms. The excessive rainfall outlook, just a marginal risk of flash flooding is possible. Not a big deal, at least a 5% risk of flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles in any given location in this green area. But like I said, I don't think this will be a big concern today. Watches, warnings, advisories, freeze warnings ongoing for southern sections of Georgia, northern Florida, some freeze watches for the Big Bend and Panhandle hugging the coastline of the Gulf of Mexico. And then we do have a lot of flood warnings because a lot of these rivers out here are certainly at or above a flood stage. So we're dealing with a lot of flood warnings if you look really closely to the areas in the green. So definitely be aware of that. We still have the winter storm warnings that are continuing for the higher elevations of West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. We still have winter storm warnings up for like Erie and one county in New York and one county south of Erie, and some winter weather advisories. I think that these will steadily get dropped throughout the day today, and this really won't be a storyline anymore. There's your typical, high wind warning in those counties and south. It seems like there's always some kind of high wind watch, high wind warning, wind advisory here in southeast Wyoming. It really does. It's pretty funny to see this almost every single time we pull up this map. But we do have some wind advisories in Northern California. Flood watch is up. This does include all the way down to, I believe, LA, not all the way down to San Diego. We do have winter storm warnings up for the Sierra Nevada and some winter weather advisories up for areas up the northwest. Let's talk about the southeast today. There really isn't a whole lot to talk about starting this morning, getting into this afternoon, getting into this evening. High pressure really dominating the region, cold high pressure. So there's no moisture to really speak on, nothing really going on. We get all the way into tomorrow morning. Maybe some light sprinkles might get pushed into the eastern shoreline of Florida as we're waking up tomorrow morning. But it's a pretty chill day. Literally, it's going to be quite chilly today. Maybe one of the cooler days of the season so far as high temperatures. But the Northeast, you're dealing with the snow this morning. Some of it could be heavy. You guys will have to let me know. But, as we get into about mid to late morning, this fizzles out pretty quickly. Could get some lingering snow showers, maybe a burst of heavy snow in Vermont, New Hampshire. Some of this could fall in the form of maybe some sleet, maybe a snow flurry or two here in southern New England. But, it gets pretty quiet pretty quick later this afternoon in the Northeast. And the snow will taper off, and then we'll just kind of be left with a pretty chilly air mass. But additional snowfall totals between now and about the next 18 hours. Another inch, maybe 2 inches of snow here in the next, I would say 3 to 4 hours is possible across the Finger Lakes region up to Syracuse. But, I would say 2 inches at most is possible. And then just some dusting amounts across the higher elevations of Vermont and New Hampshire and northern sections of New York State. Maybe some additional snow could pick up here in areas of Pennsylvania and the southern tier of New York State. South central U.S., very quiet. Ridge is beginning to move over. You're not really being affected by this trough much. But we get into this afternoon, we get into this evening, a little bit of light moisture showing up in the southern sections of Colorado. But we get into this evening, get into tomorrow morning. There really isn't much to speak on the south central U.S. Pretty quiet day. North central U.S., about the same, guys. It's pretty quiet in the middle of the country. A little bit of energy tries to fly down. Losing my voice. Tries to fly down from Canada into North Dakota. So a little bit of light snow could fall in the far northern counties of North Dakota into the northeast sections of North Dakota as we're getting to the wee hours of the morning. Some of this, could put a light dusting on some cars or maybe some grassy surfaces out here. But so, be aware of this if you live up here and you're tuning in. Definitely let me know if you are. But we're waking up to Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning, waking up to some light snow up here in extreme northwest Minnesota. Now, the western U.S., we're pretty active this morning. We got moisture as far south as, looks like we even have some moisture potentially falling really close to the San Diego region. Ron, I know, lives down in San Diego. I have not seen him comment a lot, so hopefully he's okay. Wishing the best for him. I know he used to comment every single day, all the way up to about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I haven't seen much from him, so hopefully he's doing well. But I wish we had him so we knew what was going on in San Diego, because it does look like some rain is going to affect your area this week. But we are dealing with a lot of rain in Northern California, Oregon, Washington this morning. And I think we'll deal with it for just on and off throughout Oregon and Washington, even getting into Idaho, all the way into this afternoon. And then I think that the focal point becomes California, as we have this system spinning off the coast of California in the Pacific. And this really begins to push a lot of moisture into the northern coastline of California, as you can tell, falling as in the form of some heavy snow in these higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada. And this basically just grinds down the coastline. By the time we're getting into Wednesday morning, some moderate and maybe at times heavy rain falling across, some gusty winds in San Francisco. And then we're starting to get even deeper into tomorrow. We'll go on and just move into tomorrow, and the rain begins to make it all the way down to the southern coastline, maybe in the form of some storms. And here it is. It looks like a little tropical storm spinning off the coast of California. That's not what it is, but it does look like it. Even some moisture showing up in areas of New Mexico. A lot of moisture. This is getting into tomorrow evening. So I definitely think we got some rainy times across California. And, this is just the Pacific Northwest. Somebody could sneak in an inch of precipitation, but anywhere from a quarter inch to an inch of rain is possible, lighter amounts in west and eastern sections of Washington and Oregon. But, just a closer look at California getting into this morning. Most of the areas of central and northern California getting most of just kind of the rounds of moderate rain showers out here. And then we make our way into later this evening, and then really get into the overnight hours of tonight. A lot of heavy rain, very high elevation snow begins to fall. And like I said, this just kind of sweeps down the coastline of California, and eventually this will just fully move inland and begin to affect people's weather a little bit further east. Rainfall between now and, this is all the way to Friday morning. It really goes to show you, look how much rain we could potentially get down on the southern coastline of California. It's a lot, guys. LA could pick up a few inches of rain. Even down into San Diego, a couple inches of rain. San Francisco, a couple inches of rain. So a lot of rain coming. A very rainy week really gets going, especially today and to the rest of the week. So go on and prepare for this. I know you guys, don't see rain as much. It typically all comes at one time, but definitely be aware of this. Temperatures in the eastern U.S. It'll be a chilly day. Highs might not get out in the 40s as far south as the Panhandle of Florida. A chilly day across Georgia and the Carolinas and just the mid-south. Highs only in the 40s and 30s. And then, it's going to be colder potentially in areas of the Carolinas than it will like in the down east areas of Maine. Just kind of where, the air mass really is in place just for today. Pretty wild day as far as temperatures, with the cold front really dug down and affected areas of the southeast before areas of the northeast. That happens sometimes. But chilly day across the Great Lakes region, kind of getting back to your normal flow of things, but still, nothing that's really cold, super cold compared to average up here at all. But we're starting to warm up in Texas as you're starting to feel the influence of this ridge warming up in the high plains. We're going to switch to this. Look at the 60s for, eastern Colorado. Somebody in Wyoming is going to probably hit into the low 60s today, starting to get into the mid 50s and Montana. This is well above average as this ridge begins to dominate the region. And then the Southwest will be, comfortable today. But really, there's nobody really cold out here in the western U.S. or central U.S. because this ridge is really kind of affecting your temperatures out here for sure. But moving past, there's our system right here. This is around Thursday evening. So this same storm system, you're already getting some moisture across the south central U.S. But as you move this, we already got moisture, like I said, bubbling up in this region. But here comes a low pressure that kind of ejects across the high plains. We got some snow beginning to move across the northern Rockies. We're getting into Saturday morning, kind of Christmas Eve, if you will. And then we have this system that's moving right over the middle of the country. We're starting to get into Christmas Eve morning. Snow begins to fall based off the latest GFS in areas of northern Colorado, southern Wyoming, and yes, even, western sections of Nebraska, western sections of South Dakota. This is all rain down here. Could get a sneaky severe weather event, with this low pressure. We got to see what the moist return is out the Gulf of Mexico, but this will be all rain across areas of Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and we continue to move this forward. This low pressure just moves almost due north. And as we're getting into Christmas morning, you could wake up to a white Christmas in western Nebraska, areas of Colorado, and it could be snowing in these areas also, like in western South Dakota. Okay? But there's another separate low pressure developing down here for the deep south. That could bring rain for the deep south states like Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, and Florida. So it might be a rainy Christmas day. Certainly not a white Christmas like we saw in many of these areas back in 2010. Man, what a magical year that was, man. When it comes to weather, it really was. That was a fantastic winter, 2010 into 2011, 2009 into 2010. But anyways, we're not going back in the past here. We're going to keep this going. But we're getting into the 26th. We have this low continuing. It's very weak. We got moisture getting pushed into the southeast. And at this point, we're getting after Christmas. And then just some weird stuff begins to happen after that we really need to fine-tune and figure out. But, we're pretty confident there's going to be a storm system that's going to affect these areas. And, here it comes on the European. Same kind of deal. Bringing snow for the Rockies as we're getting into the evening of the 23rd. Same thing for Utah, Idaho, and then we start to get into Christmas Eve morning, and this is bringing, a pretty hefty winter weather event for Wyoming. And, the Euro's a little bit different, and then it brings snow for, western Nebraska as we're getting into Christmas Eve evening, and Santa Claus is coming to town here. We could be dealing with a little bit of snow across Nebraska, but, it's a tricky setup here. There is some differences, but I do think there's going to be moisture across the middle of the country, and I do think there's the potential for moisture as we're getting into Christmas Day to be affecting somewhere in the southeast to eastern U.S., but it's really everywhere as multiple pieces of energy are kind of flying around out here. As we get into the day after Christmas, we start to get a big storm system that shows up for the eastern U.S., still not a lot of cold air around, but I'm really watching this little feature right here 10 days from now. This has my interest right here. But definitely, speaking of the energy flying around, we'll take a look at the GFS. Here comes our main system that we have been dealing with, that's bringing that quick shot of cold air that we're dealing with right now across the eastern U.S. But here comes that system right here, bringing all that moisture for the state of California here. This moves. You got this area of energy, you got this area of energy, you got this one. These two will try to combine with one another to create a bigger system that we've just talked about for Christmas Eve. They kind of link up right here, and we could have a moderate kind of system. I don't think this will be a high-end system, but that could change. So we get this piece of energy is just kind of flying around, kind of lost out there because you still have ridging in place. Then you got another piece of energy. You got energy down here. Probably bringing a lot of wet conditions across the south. And there's just all kinds of stuff going on. A lot of energy coming out the Gulf. This system is still here across the Midwest. Backside energy right here. And they are all just dancing around out there. Nothing knows what it wants to do. Nothing really wants to consolidate. Yeah, so interesting times ahead, I think. I think between now and Christmas, it's just all about figuring out this storm system that we just kind of spoke on. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Sorry about the messiness. It was a struggle this morning for sure. I don't know why. I just can never get going. And as I've mentioned many times before, the more I have to start over a video, the more messier it's probably going to be. So we'll try to do better here in the next video. I'm not sure if I'll get one this evening. We'll see. But I do think we're going to enter a time period coming up over the next several weeks, next couple months, where the evening videos will be with us a lot more. So that's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great Tuesday, and I'll talk to you soon.